What's going on? Oh, crisis on that. Going. Hey, there he is. How's it going, man?
Not bad, man. How's things?
I'm good. I'm good. It's good to see you. It's been too long, man. It's been too long. How you been?
Yeah, not too bad at all, man. How's things? Keeping well?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Blessed.
How's the family?
Blessed. Oh, they're good, thankfully. They're good. How about yourself?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad.
Awesome. Awesome. Just let a few other people come in.
No worries.
Well, tonight on tonight's questions, we've got my bro Hosem, aka Vibes, with us. We're gonna be going into it, man. We're gonna be talking about a whole gang of topics tonight. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking to forward. Oh, I can't even speak. Looking forward to it. Let a few people join. But in the meantime, I think before we get into the more heavier topics, I was thinking about music because one of the things we've bonded over the years is music. We're both into our hip hop and our rap music and such. And you've been someone who's been more into the British scene than I have been, to be honest. I can't pretend. I've always been a just like American hip hop type guy, but you always had your ear to the ground when it came to the British scene, whether it be grime or even just British hip hop in general, sort of thing. So I wanted to ask your opinion, like, how do you think it's evolved, the British scene, in the last, Christ, like 10 years or so, like for the better, for worse? Are you feeling what's coming out now, or what's your thoughts on it?
it's um, it's a difficult one. I think I think it's gone in waves. To be honest
Yeah.
with you, Machine, it's kind of got. So when I first started getting, I suppose, into the UK rap scene, it was
Mm.
more kind of like pirate radio stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be like sets. I remember like kind of me and Mo and stuff would sit in the car and we would play these sets, these 2 hour long sets, just non-stop, just
Yeah.
instrumentals for 2 hours straight of
Mm.
guys just pretty much rhyming for two
Mm.
two straight hours. And you wouldn't get bored of it. And then it kind of evolved from 2 hour sets to songs.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
like for example, we'd listen to it's a lot more popular now, like Ghetto Gets,
Yeah.
where we would listen to his F radio sets. He had about 5 or 6 of those, where he would just go mad for about 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours.
Mm.
But then he started releasing tracks, then started releasing albums. Um, so it has moved away from that whole pirate radio scene,
Definitely.
and then moved into more, I suppose, where the money is, um,
Precisely.
which you can't really you can't knock it because these guys obviously are trying to make a living out of
That's
it,
it.
so it does make sense. But it's good because you still sometimes on YouTube find these sets, or they still do these sets, which for me showcases these guys' sort of talent. You can mix up the instrumentals like crazy, and you see how they adapt and flow and switch from one to the next, and
Definitely.
that's what I enjoy. But
No, it's
now,
true.
sorry, what are you saying?
No, I was just agreeing with you, man, because like you're more well versed on it than I am. But I was watching just randomly, when you watch a few like that single from Kano came on. This is England, and then it put like his Lord of the Mic sesh, like from way back, like it's all on like VHS and stuff, but somebody's put on YouTube. It's completely different, and it was just like I think it was him and oh my god, I see his face. He's like a big guy in grime, light skin, got a slash here. He's beefing with Stormzy.
Oh, Wiley.
Wiley, thank you. Like they're in it together, but it's like there's like so much younger, it's so much raw, like they're just like on the staircase and they're just rhyming back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you know, it's weird because as someone that rhymes, like some of my most favorite periods, just as someone, a fan of rap, as a fan of musicians, is the real impromptu shit where it's just you and another person. Maybe someone's playing a guitar or singing or whatever, but it's just between the two of you. Like someone will just spit something just for you, rather than like a produced, like, oh, we're on a stage where, because it's intimate, you know, sort of thing. I quite like that kind of environment, and I think, you know, not that big productions are bad or anything like that, but as someone that's been around musicians, it's always great to see the little behind the scenes moments that the casual fan will only see from, like, you know, the distance and all that sort of thing. So no, I'm totally with you how things have kind of changed to be like even the kind of more underground things. Like I like watching battle rap and things. Like battle rap is getting more and more produced now, to the point that people are having battles and they're not even in the same place. They're not even like with people. Like they're using all kinds of crazy camera tricks. It's like, you know, like like Chris Nolan's like battle rap producer, you know, sort of thing. It's taken it to a completely new level. But it's great to see, you know, because as things evolve, you know, new innovations, you know, come through, sort of thing.
Well, we saw, what's it called recently? I think it was not Chipmunk and Stormzy had some sort of thing going on. These tracks were heavily produced. Like I'm talking like not just him and a mic. It's like proper music videos. Rap battle, but a well produced music video, which is kind of like
yeah.
As you look back at like you say, the Lord of the Mic stuff. That stuff was two guys on a staircase going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
That's it.
I preferred. I mean, I love the Lord of the Mic stuff. It's good stuff. But I was watching a documentary that Kano did as well on YouTube. And it was quite interesting. He actually talks about like sort of the evolution as well of where he started and how he's ended up. But I think he's one of the artists that actually stays true to what he does. I'm a big Kano fan. I think he's unbelievable. He does a lot of stuff with Gets. There's a track called Class of Deja. I don't know if you heard that track. The instrumental is insane. And they do that thing where it's kind of verse for verse, or bar for bar between them, and sort of vibe off each other. And it's incredible that they still do that, and they still got that same energy as well. I feel like with Ghetto, a lot of guys, like, I don't know, could I say underrated? You see his Daily Duppy, I think, and it's one of the best Daily Duppies I've heard. The guy's wordplay, his metaphors, similes, the way he links everything together. You know, the guy's he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
You can tell that from the way he structures bars, the way he can say something, but it can mean 3-4 different things. It's it's good to hear. I always get excited when I see a new Gets track. So
yeah, and like I mean that's one thing. Like I put my hands up as a pure casual. You know, one thing that I definitely think has improved in the British scene is the lyricism and the actual metaphors and similes, because it's moved sort of away. I mean, there is a grime flow, but I remember like a lot of the faster like rhythms and that they were flow based, so you're kind of stuck saying like things that just sound cool because it's being rapped fast, rather than so many tricky things, you know, sort of thing. And I've seen that like a lot of artists. I'm not trying to you know, poo-poo anybody that's been in grime over the years, you know, sort of thing. Like I'm sure there were more lyrical people, but as a casual, you only heard what was on like Top of the Pops in that. But you find that even now, even the more mainstream artists they'll get in their lyrical bag. They'll get more into their metaphors, their similes, their concepts. And I think the fact that now the light has shone a bit more on grime of late, because I think you've got the new generations, you've got your Stormzy's, you've got your new people. Like I'm not even into it. And then there was some song, I can't remember the main artist, but it's Feet Heady one, and it's like Willingsworth to Bullingdon or something like that.
Mm.
I love that song, man. I've been playing it for the last 3 days nonstop. You know, it's like the perfect gym song. You know, and I think the with YouTube as well, because YouTube can do the, oh, well, you like this artist, well, we've got more for you. It's easier because back in the day, like if I want to know about grime, I'm asking you because you actually follow it and you can say, okay, listen to this song, listen to this song. But there's no one curating it for the casual like myself. While now people will be like, okay, if you've watched a few of these, the algorithm will fix you out. And Spotify as well, the algorithm will fix you, you know?
100%. I mean, I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of new stuff that I just don't like. It's just not for me. I would much prefer listening to the older Kano Gets, DEE stuff, way over this new, even this whole new drill scene as well. I'm not too big on drill. And a couple of tracks that are good. Like Mo always says to me, he always takes the piss out of me saying, oh, you only listen to stuff where you think you can learn something. I'm like, no, not really. I was like, I like to listen to some bullshit as well, you know, it's fine, but a lot of the stuff is just, it seems like it's just regurgitated nonsense.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the same boring flow, with the same, you know, it's not, it's kind of like you heard one, you heard them all type stuff.
I'm with you. I was about to, in fact, so not to cut you short, but you're leading me on to like something I was going to say as well, or a question, because I found a lot of the new sort of styles. If you look at drill, if you look at trap music, it's like, even back in the day, like when we were young, like snap music was the fun sort of new thing. You knew what snap music is, you know what drill music is, but you almost can't tell who the artists are in drill or in trap or in snap because they all have the same flow, they all have the same, you know, like I know the person that sang like Laffy Taffy and some of the others, you know, classic snap songs, but I don't know which one sang which song, if that makes sense, because it all does sound kind of samey. Sorry, I don't know. Can you still hear me, by the way?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Oh, perfect. And yeah, no, I just think it's good to see the evolution come through. I think it was necessary for British music to reach the next level. I mean, in other genres like rock music and pop music, they've been at the forefront of like the cutting edge. Like we know all the big artists from the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and all these sorts of people, but with hip hop related themes, they've not always been at the cutting edge, or they've not always reached that exposure. Which I think is, you know, long overdue, in my opinion.
No, 100%, and it is good, and like you see quite a lot of gems popping out now. I don't know if you've heard a guy called Ocean Wisdom. They did out of nowhere, and then the guy's doing tracks with like Method Man.
That's it. You know, and I think that not that you need worldwide recognition to be validated, but it does show you now that this isn't just from your local community, from your country, from, you know, even the Great Britain. It's like your music is beginning to gain traction to ears that maybe don't understand all the slang that you're portraying. It's not like we knew all of the American slang, but it's still spread out. So I think now it's beginning to bear the fruits of all the people that came before it and kind of helped refine it and make it more palatable for the casual listener.
The good thing now is we live in an age where, like, the whole world from west to east is completely interconnected.
Yeah,
We've got a
yeah.
powerful tool with the internet and the ability to speak to someone like we're doing right now, you know, send each other verses, send each other instrumentals, and you don't even need to be in the same room to make a track anymore. So that only opens up a whole sort of range of opportunities for people to work with people that you would never ever think, you know, they would be able to do anything, because of the distance.
Yeah.
But now it's just so easy. I think if someone enjoys someone's music, and they want to do something with that person, then it's literally a phone call. Yo, I like your stuff. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Yeah, like, High Focus. I mean, unbelievable. They got a guy called Coops. Amazing. I was listening to quite a lot of his stuff. Good UK hip hop.
Yeah.
So that stuff back in the day, like, you know, Jest and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I love Jest, but Jest kind of just disappeared. He just
That's
died.
the thing.
And you were like, oh shit, like where's all these rappers gone, you know?
This is the
But
thing.
yeah, you can. I spend hours searching, and I'm like, you know, X, I don't like, and then after maybe 30, 40, you'll find one or two that you're just like, whoa, and then you just start diving deeper into their work, their earlier stuff, and then yeah, it's a new artist for the playlist. So
No, it's so true, and I think that's the sad thing is that like many of the artists that you like end up just dropping off the map completely, or they move into kind of label positions. So they're just like, okay, I'm going to put the next generation on, but I'm going to be a behind the scenes player. And it's like, nah, man, you had bars, man. Don't put down the mic. You know what I mean? You know, sort of thing. Which leads me on to another question, which is probably the last one in this sort of music section. Do you think Scottish artists are likely to blow up the way we've seen some of the London and Manchester and, you know, major city English people blow up in the recent, you know, history sort of thing?
Easy, simple answer, yes. I think it's just something that's going to take time. If you look at the UK grime scene, predominantly down in London, that didn't blow up overnight.
True.
That took a long time for it to get to where it was, to where it is now. I think people just need to get used to that, maybe that Scottish accent. Maybe they don't quite get it, or they don't understand, but we got a guy like in Ransom,
Yeah,
who's doing crazy things right now. Do you know what I mean? He's working hard to put Scottish hip hop on the scene. He's making a lot of movements, I think, down south as well, introducing Scottish hip hop to people down south. And all it sometimes takes is for that connection to be made. He slowly starts growing, slowly. But that's the issue. Sometimes people think that things, you know, just happen at a click
overnight.
of fingers. But
It's not true.
I mean, you're talking, like I said, the grime scene. I was sitting in a car listening to these sets when I was 17.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 33 now, Mash.
It's mad, yeah.
And it's insane. And it's still not at the level of, well, actually, I can't say that because it is doing really well. It is hitting top 10s. It's doing really well. But look at the time that it's taken for it to evolve from that 1 point to where it is now.
This is the truth.
Scottish hip hop, I think it's still got a long way to go. I think the more recognition it gets, the more artists that get involved. Because I can guarantee you, there's a lot of artists out there that have got stuff. I'm not pointing or looking at anyone in particular, you know, but they just haven't put it out there. And it's not getting heard. and if it's not getting heard, who knows?
This is it.
No
This
one
is it.
knows anything about it.
No, I totally agree with you,
And
man. I think
it's going to take time.
I think so. I think one of the things with the British scene, because even like myself, who's been quiet, I've still been around a lot of artists and still spoken to artists. Artists that hadn't like I said, been in the game a long time and not even spoken to that many people. And then when you see like, oh, somebody's doing this over here, somebody's doing that over there, somebody's doing this over there. And what has always surprised me is there's actually a lot of talent in Scotland. But I have found that not even Scottish people, but Scotland doesn't have the infrastructure to capitalize on the talent it has. I was on the bus a few years ago, and I remember two people having a conversation behind me, and it's a conversation I've had with men, like everybody that's done art, any sort of musical endeavor in Aberdeen. And they were basically like, there's nothing here for us. Everything, like all the opportunities, you're going to London, and if not London, then you're going to Glasgow if you're going to stay in Scotland, or Edinburgh, sort of thing. But Aberdeen, with all the money and the resources here, there's not much of a gigging scene. I mean, now it's COVID, but even then, like Drummond's and things, these were more rock places, and even these people behind me were rock people. So they're like, this is not exactly what we're expecting. And it's like, okay, you actually have a place to, you can do a gig and all that. And it's weird because, we've got Annie Lennox, we've got, this girl.
It was Emily Sandy as well.
Thank you, Emily Sandy. But it's not, like, these are outliers. Like, I feel like if you were to go to London, there's 100 men that could spit, just like if you stop them on the street. And they've found a way to promote themselves well. There's an infrastructure for finding talent and utilizing talent there that in Scotland is completely untapped. And so if Scottish people want to make it, like Effie's the prime example, he's had to leave Scotland to do more for Scotland, if that makes sense. You can't even do it within Scotland.
Yeah, it is difficult. But the awesome thing now is, like I say, the access to information that we have, access to the internet.
Yeah.
You've got guys, that you can create your own YouTube account. You can, in essence, promote yourself. As long as you have access to the internet, a video camera, a mic, and 200% dedication, then I think it has become a lot easier.
Definitely.
This day and age.
Definitely.
But 10 years ago, definitely not as easy as it is.
Definitely. A lot of gatekeepers back then. Like you said, the internet has kind of made it a bit of a free-for-all, in the sense of like, if like you have all the tools to do it yourself, it's whether you have the commitment, as you said, and the wherewithal to do it. Otherwise, like, you actually have the tools that people 20 years ago would have just killed for, sort of thing. This will bring us on to the more deeper conversations. Not that this wasn't deep, to be honest, but I was going to ask you, and it's kind of been inspired by the whole Euros and the drama surrounding it, particularly the final. But I'll ask you, as a fellow British African, or African British, however you want to call it, do you feel British? And if so, why? And if not, why?
You know what, Mash? First of all, like, me personally, number one, I see myself as a human being. Number one, I'm not overly patriotic.
Mm.
I think each individual is a product of their upbringing and their environment, and that kind of shapes them into how they position or see themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think that question is very tailor made for each individual. I don't think there's an easy answer
Mm.
that sort of captures a whole set of people. Definitely not. I think it's definitely it's a very individualistic question. But
Mm.
me myself, like I say, I don't really consider myself British, or I've considered myself first of all a human being. That's the main thing. Don't get me wrong, I'm proud of my background, both Tunisian and Scottish, and that upbringing has gave me a set of values and morals that I try to implement in my everyday life, and the way I conduct myself and speak to other people with the same respect that I would like to be spoken to.
Mm.
But to come out and say, "Oh no, I'm British. I'm British." I mean, what is British? I mean, is it you? Is it something that if I'm born in Britain, I'm British, or is it I've spent 10 years in Britain, am I British?
This is the thing. This is the thing. I
It's
mean, like you've kind of like preempted one of my next questions, because I think it's a weird, like, I'm sort of similar to you. Like, I was at a dinner and somebody says, "Oh, like, where are you from?" And I was like, "I'm from, I was born in Nigeria, but I've lived here like all my life," sort of thing, And
the typical
it's,
answer.
yeah, and they were like, "Oh, so you're Scottish then?" And I said, it's interesting that you say that, because I always find there's two types of people. When you give the answer that I give, someone will either say, "Oh, so you're Scottish," or "So you're British then," or they just say, "Hmm," and that's it. Because for some people, like you said, you ingrain yourself in this culture. You've been here for a number of years. You've eaten the food. You've shared the highs and lows. You've considered this place your home, and they've considered you being here part of us. And then there's another situation where it's like, it doesn't matter how long you stay here, that you're not us, sort of thing. And, I'm not trying to cast this is a racial thing. This is not a racial thing. But because there's arguments for both. I know, like, my parents, they raised me sort of like, because they're coming from a generation where they spent most of their adulthood in Africa and came here later in life. They're Africans first in their mind and British people second. And with me, I've not really spent time there in like years or anything like that. Just like, a few holidays. But for me, they kind of impressed the opinion that, like, if you are to think that you're British, like just as British as Tom Smith, you'll be in for a rude awakening, sort of thing. You can't place your identity firmly on you feeling accepted as a British person the way all these other people feel. And that's something that, as controversial as it may sound, I personally, for myself, have agreed with, just because I've seen it happen enough times that people pull this British card away from you, not in terms of your literal citizenship, but in terms of it's a conditional thing. It's not like people who are British, eighth generation, like they feel at home here and they're like, I'm Scottish, I'm this, I can trace my roots back here and I feel like I'm a Scottish person. But I know people that have, they've been black or they've been Asian, and they feel like Scotland is their home, their everything. They don't really recognize themselves as Africans or Asians. They recognize them ethnically, but in their heart of hearts, they're Scottish people. And they're the same people that, like, let something goes wrong or something's happening, happened to them, and people are telling them, "Oh, you need to go back to your country," and they might even have been here for 3 or 4 generations, sort of thing. But they're still being told to get back, and I'm like, I can't base my life on that. I can't let my self-esteem be in the hands of someone else. So I have to clarify my position as, like I said, like I'm happy to have one foot here and one foot there and nobody can shake that one foot, rather than say, oh, I'm fully for you, I'm fully for the British. And then when you miss a pen, everyone's like coming at you, sort of thing. That's my own personal thoughts.
No, like, and then I think that's a good thing. I mean, my mum being Scottish and my dad being Tunisian, I was brought up in a very multicultural environment, and I was lucky enough to embrace both cultures. So much like yourself, I've got one foot here and one foot there.
Yeah.
But also the mad thing is, growing up, my name Hosem, I was always in the UK. I was always seen as a foreigner. You're not Scottish. You can't be. Your name's Hosam. So don't lie.
Don't lie.
And then when I went to Tunisia, because I went to Tunisia every single year, I wasn't Tunisian. You're the guy that's come from the UK.
Yeah. Yeah, I got teased like that as well. Oh, man's from London. I'm like, it's Aberdeen, but whatever.
Yeah. So you're kind of stuck in these type of issues. I think it takes time to grow and understand it for yourself. But as a young person, it can cause a lot of issues and maybe identity problems. And
definitely.
And you start to question, oh shit, like I'm not being accepted here and I'm not being accepted there. So where do I fit in?
Yeah.
But I think over time you tend to realize, and you don't care anymore. You're like, you know what? I am who I am. I'm lucky enough to speak multiple languages. I'm lucky enough to be brought up in 2 different cultures and understand the differences between them. Take the goods, leave the bads, and then forge short of your own path. But like, for example, like at uni, I would come across individuals who were maybe ashamed, of their culture or their belief, and they would lie or hide parts of them in order to be accepted.
Oh, I think my guy is frozen.
Yo, you still there, Mash?
Yeah. You just froze for a moment.
And that would blow my mind. And that's, for me, that's a big issue, because if you're willing to hide yourself and who you are, in your background, in your culture, to please other people, like, who are you pleasing?
This is what I'm saying.
End of the day, if people don't accept you for who you are, then you don't have time for that person.
This is the truth. This is the truth. And I think what you said is very important, because as a young person, your mind's all over the place. You can be shaped one way, you can be shaped another way, and you really need to have that period of like finding out what am I about? What am I about? Like, there's like, you can't fit in with everyone by default.
It's impossible.
And I think as you evolve as a human being, as you grow older and you mature, you begin to say like, okay, this is, these are the values I accept. This is the sort of person I want to be, and you chart your own path. But like you said, some people don't grow up out of that phase. Some people remain, like you said, in folks up at university age and beyond are still trying to find out who they are and still trying to chip parts of themselves off to fit in more comfortably with people that, would respect you more if you said, no, this is what I'm about,
But that's the issue. That's, I think, as well, like I said, we've got a lot of issues. That's why we have issues like loss of identity, potential mental illnesses as well, developing people. It's I think this needs to stem as well from from school age, and get kids comfortable with who they are. You know, at home as well. I think that's the best thing to do. Is it does take a while, but the quicker that an individual is happy and comfortable with themselves, the more you understand that it's not you that's the issue, it's the people around you that have the issue. And yeah, it can take a while, I suppose. I mean, speaking about myself, you kind of do think about it. You're like, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean? But like as you get older, your mind opens up, and you realize, yeah, I mean, I am who I am, and then it's not me that has the issue. It's these other individuals, and if they don't accept you for who you are as a person, and if you cannot celebrate your culture and celebrate your heritage and your background every single day, then then you don't need these people in your life. Mash, can I be a pain and say 30 seconds? I'm going to plug my charger in. My phone is dipping hard.
Not a problem at all, bro. Not
2 seconds.
Sorry, guys. You've just got me for the time being. We're just talking, and we've been talking about music, the British scene with grime and British hip hop, and how that's evolved over the last decade or so, and how it's moved from a more underground position to something that is entering the mainstream now, for better, for worse, mostly better, because now a lot of people that have put a lot of sweat equity are now beginning to yield the fruits from that struggle. And now we're moving on from that onto the feeling of Britishness. What is it? What makes people feel British? Is it the passport? Is it the number of years that you've lived here? Or is it, your birth or your parents, sort of thing? So we're just moving on to that. Folks in the chat, if you have any questions, please let me know. It's been a bit, I find it a bit difficult to actually reply people via typing. So I will try and respond by voice. Bear with me just a moment. I will send him another invite for when he's ready. I hope everyone's having a lovely day. And we're going to be talking about the racism a little bit around the European Cup final, and then on to COVID measures. Let me know if you people have felt protected by the COVID measures and whatnot, because we'll be getting into that a little bit later. So maybe we can pile up some responses. Oh, is that it? Welcome back, bro.
Yeah, sorry, Mash. My phone is a big issue right now, man. It tells me it's in full battery, and then it just goes.
Honestly, I had to get a new phone recently because my phone was exactly the same, man. It was just dying. I was going to say, with regards to racism, because honestly, the football, that final, I was this was my thought.
Are you surprised though?
Not at all. I knew it immediately. Immediately, I posted these boys' Twitters are going to be on fire, 100%. Because this was my initial thought when Rashford took the first one. Because I didn't fully know the lineup. So when Rashford took I was like, rah, he missed. I was like, that's bad, but it's like, this is the third pen, so there's still time to redeem. If, like I said, if we win, nobody cares. Then it's Sancho, and then Sancho misses, and I'm like, rah, the only black guys that have taken pens have missed. It's gonna be pretty shit for them. Now, I didn't see the lineup, so in my mind, Saka is not the last person to take it. I'm expecting anyone else. Like, I don't know. There's Henderson's. There's like club captains and that, and far more experienced players to be taking pens. And then I see Saka walk up, and I'm like, my first thought is, why is a 19-year-old taking the last pen in a European Cup final? He's not been in any cup finals in his life, I don't think.
Yeah, no.
Because he plays for my team as well. Like, I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm a Nigerian-born British person. Like, this guy, like, my heart is literally like why? Like, I'm just like, why? Why is he's so young? Like, if it was Phil Foden, I wouldn't want Phil Foden to be taking that pen because he's young. Like, these players are the players that will be England's starting guys for the next, I don't know, 4 tournaments or 6 tournaments or whatever. So I'm thinking, you've got time to blood them in. You don't have to be putting this pressure on them in this way. While like the Kieran Trippiers, the Kyle Walkers, and all these people, they're in their 30s. Like, this might be their last 1 or 2 tournaments. So it's like they can fall on their sword if need be, or if they're going to win, it's still on them, and they did the deed while they were there. I was like, you might just break this 19-year-old before he's barely put a foot in the door.
Yep.
And then he missed it, and you just saw it. He broke down. Even me, I was like, I was done for that day, man. I was shouting at my dad. I was like, oh my God, this boy is going to get it. And like, the weird, not even weird thing, because again, it's kind of to be expected, but like, random folk were getting it in the streets, like Asians. People aren't even black. Like, even Harry Maguire's dad, I think he's got a broken rib. Like,
yeah.
Everyone caught the smoke. People that had no business. You're not even a football fan. You're just a target. And I was just like, this is the worst possible outcome. But was I surprised? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You know, the crazy thing is, though, Mash, there was already absolute madness going on before the game had even started.
Yeah.
And if you saw the streets the day after, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, you're probably getting full-grown men pissing in the middle of the street, throwing their rubbish all over the ground. Like, we're meant to be in a civilized society.
This is what I'm saying.
And then it just turns into, I don't even want to call it animals, because animals have got more,
sense about them.
Yeah, like it's disgraceful, to be honest. With regards to Saka taking the pen, you know what? I can't really say much because I don't understand their game plan. I wasn't there in the room when they discussed it. Maybe the older players actually did put their name forward, but the manager was like, "Nah, you know what? You can't take you can't take a pen. So he's better than you, and he's 19, so we'll let him take it."
Honestly, like, this is how I read the situation. I've got no evidence. Yeah, I think Gareth Southgate is a nice guy, and I actually I do. I just think he's a nice guy. I don't think he's like an elite manager or anything like that, but he's a nice guy, and I think he's actually he's all for Black Lives Matter. I think he's just like a nice guy. That's just what he is, and I think in his mind, he was like, "Look, we're in the final. We've got 3 players, like Rashford." Like, this isn't even a black thing, but Rashford is at a stage in his career where you're thinking you should score your pen. Sancho is in the same. They're young, but they're experienced. They've played at high level. They've played big games. You know, this, that, and the other. I'm thinking that Gareth Southgate is thinking, look, there's been a whole load of controversy over the kneeling and everything. If we win this Euros and the black players score all the important pen, not all the, because there's no such thing as an unimportant pen in a cup final, but score the last 3 pens and we win it, then like that's the end of discussion. Like you've almost said, look, you, all these black players that we weren't respecting, look what they done. They won us our Euros. Like he was thinking of the story rather than how do we win this final, in my mind, because, or at least for Saka, because Sancho and Rashford, I'm like, okay, you are old enough, or you're matured enough because you've played a lot of seasons at big clubs. You know, you're going for big fees. You're on big wages. You've played finals. Like you should know a bit about you. You should be able to put a pen in the back of the net. And the penalty really is in favor more for the attacker than the defender. But with Saka, I think his head was gone, man. I don't know what he was thinking. That's like kid, man. That's 19-year-old kid to take the last pen. Not that you guys get finals all the time. I don't know what he was thinking, man.
No, I was shocked as well when Saka stepped up to take that 5th penalty. I kind of said to myself, really?
Yeah.
And you know what? Fair play to him for doing it, because other people would have just straight up said, no, I'm not doing it. So I can't knock his confidence. You know, but as a manager, you should have maybe thought about it and said, you know what, maybe not even for the moment, but his future
this is what I'm saying,
development as well, because I can guarantee you that probably hurt him a lot.
Boy was like damn near crying, man. Like and I felt it. Like when it missed, he was just devastated, man. I was devastated because I'm like, mate, you better just throw your phone away because there's just gonna be nothing good there, nothing, you know.
And I remember I was watching it with Danielle, and I turned around to her and I said to her, the abuse that these guys are going to get is going. And you know what, as well, Mash, the messed up thing is that's the first thing that I thought about straight away.
Same.
And then you're like, what? You know, like that shouldn't even be entering my mind.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Honestly, like, bro, like it was weird because that was like you said, it was the first thing. I wasn't thinking, you know, like, you know, people like, oh, I'm gutted for the loss, you know, That was, I just knew, I was like, man, these it's coming for them. It's coming for them, man. And like Rashford in particular, like this guy who's been feeding people's kids, man. Like, they defaced his mural and stuff. And I'm like, what is going through your head? Like, this guy, whatever you say about his ability as a football player, in terms of just a human being, this is what you want someone in power to be like. He's on ridiculous money. He feeds his community. He's all about politics. He's a role model. You don't see him get in trouble. All the, like, what you want someone to be as a football player, like off the pitch, I guess. He is that, like, times 1,000, you know. And like random people, they just cussed him out, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, I don't know what it takes to. And this is kind of like harkening back to what we were saying earlier. It's like, I can't live a life where I'm trying to curry favor with people that can turn on me in such a way. Like, if you base your self-esteem on what people, you know, say about you, and people that, you know, all these strangers that, you know, like you put a lot of stock in what people say, you're going to live a miserable life, you know, sort of thing. Because if it was if he was like a vengeful person, like he just pulls like if I was a sort of, like, not me personally, but your instinct, especially if you go out of your way to help your community and all that, you might just say, oh, well, bung you lot then. Do you know what I mean? Like, nah, like, feed yourself next time. Do you know what I mean? Like, all that you could, if he was a vindictive person, you know, like it's one of those things that if you win another trophy and people are saying, "Oh, you know, you're a great guy, Rashford," I'll be like, "No, fuck the lot of you." Like nobody was who came to my defense when things went down. Now everybody wants to say, "Oh, you did a good job."
And
Nah,
that's the
bung all
crazy
that.
thing. Like a week ago, they were heroes.
This is what I'm saying.
And then straight away, you know, and then straight after they missed the pen, oh, you're not heroes anymore, you're monkeys.
This is it. This
And
is it.
it's bullshit. But you know, Mash, it's not. Racism has been around for a long time. And you know what? It's not even white on black racism. You know, I see it in Tunisia, in Africa. It's the same. It's the same issue. Like I can speak to people in like I can speak to individuals from, they'll put it North Africa, yeah, or they'll say sub-Saharan Africa,
Yeah.
and that blows my mind. So already you're putting a distinction between those closer to the equator and then those in the northern region of Africa. So you're already making that distinction, saying, "Oh, yo, I'm lighter skinned." You know, by saying that term, I'm sub-Saharan African, and I noticed that quite a bit. Why not just say, I'm from the continent of Africa? Why do I need to specifically pinpoint the region that I'm from without having some sort of alternative motive? So I think it happens inside Africa.
It does, man. It happens everywhere.
As well as the issues, I mean, white on black. Like, for example, going like, it's not really going off topic, but it's an issue. Like, for example, for me, education and knowledge is a big problem. I think that's where it all stems from. Have you heard a guy called Carter G. Woodson?
No.
Basically, he's the reason for the Black History Month. He started the awareness to stop the fabrication and distortion around black people in the early 1900s. Pretty much. So he's a historian and was against sort of the racist media that was going on about that time and the lies told about the black people at that time. He wrote a book called The Miseducation of the Negro. It was in the 1930s, I think that book was published. Very powerful book. If you have a chance, give it a read. Every page.
Definitely. I'm taking notes, man. I'm taking notes.
With pure passion. It's a brilliant read. And the stuff that he's talking about at that time, you can still see it happening today. Like, people will probably get mad at me right now for saying it, or people might say, "What's this guy talking about?" But I don't like the idea of Black History Month. I think it's load nonsense, to be honest. These people that fabricated this month and says, "You know what? Here's a month." It's like giving someone a bandage. You know, we'll keep you quiet for a bit. You can have your month to celebrate. Who are you to tell me or an individual that you have only a month to celebrate your heritage or your culture? If I want to celebrate my background, then I've got 12 months out of the year to celebrate my background. It's not, doesn't stem down to a Black History Month, you know, or I don't see a White History Month or an Asian History Month or a Latin American History Month, you know.
I'm with you, bro.
These things, I think, need to stem from the school curriculum being changed. Let's talk about slave ships. Let's talk about the British Empire. Let's talk about where the Queen got her diamonds from. Let's talk about these topics, you know, that are hidden or maybe not spoken about in stuff like that. I think we need to, at a very early age, these topics need to be discussed and need to be looked at very seriously in order for progressive change to actually happen. Because like I say, this guy's book talks about stuff. This was published in the 1930s, by the way. And we're in 2021 right now. Where's the change?
This
You
is
know,
it.
I do see slight change. I mean, in myself, uh, growing up, I think things were a lot harder back then. I saw my dad go through a lot of stuff when I was younger because of the color of his skin and because the way he spoke.
Mm.
And I do think that this day and age, people are more aware. The younger generation are becoming a lot smarter. The
Yes.
access to information, the access to the internet, you know, we can jump on, we can do our own research. We don't
This
need
is
to
it.
be waiting to go into school and be taught certain things. We can go home, we can go onto Google and we can find a whole list of sources, and we can
Mm.
sift through those sources and find out the answers to the questions that we have. But unfortunately, some individuals need a push. Some people
Yeah.
need to be shown direction. Um, and there's not enough done at school level, at basic primary school level, you know, to help people understand race, inequality. But definitely, Mash, give that guy's book a read.
No,
Um,
honestly, bro, I'm taking notes, man, because
it's,
I'm like, this. You said too many things that I was like, actually, like, where's my pen, bro? But no, it's
if you're
I.
into justice, equality, very, very progressive thinking, talks about the dumbing down of a group of individuals in order for control as
Yeah.
well. You know, and we don't see, I don't think that didn't just happen with the black community. I think a lot of, I mean, class systems did that at a time to control certain individuals and then benefit from them. I mean, for example, I saw it, well, I know it happened in Libya.
Mm.
Their dictator Gaddafi
Mm.
used to basically only educate his people up until a certain level. Why? Because he was scared that when people gained a certain amount of knowledge, they would understand that his system was completely flawed and rebel against it.
This is
Um,
it.
and look what happened. That's what happened. So, but yeah, but going back to what we were speaking about,
No, no, honestly, bro, like
this day.
that's brilliant because honestly, I agree with you. And I was having this conversation with someone today, due to we're talking about critical race theory and how, like, I'm not necessarily for it. I'm not necessarily for the way kind of black studies kind of is being implemented. Just like you said, like we can study, we can celebrate our history every month of the year, but blacks only have this one day, and it's not even about that. It's the fact that, like, what the Black History Month is. It's like people don't understand that, like, there's a way that somebody can give you something, but they're giving you something that was never theirs to give. And that's where the root of the thing, that's the root of the problem. When somebody, like, I use this example with the kneeling, yeah? The kneeling was a protest. Nobody gave permission and people were pissed off. But as soon as, like, the FA and that say, oh, you can kneel, it's no longer a process. It's just a protest.
It's done. It's
It's
lost its
part of the
value.
thing.
Yeah.
And the Black History Month is sort of the same sort of thing. The real, true amendment that should be made is a more expansive telling of history. It's a bit suspect to have Black history and history. Like the two are separate. Like what was happening here was not what was happening there. And you have to make the distinction between someone that's actually genuinely acting in your best interest or just doing something to keep you quiet. Because really, if you're studying Black history, you know, at, say, university, yeah, the chances are you're Black, or you've got someone Black in your family or in your immediate family. Like, I guarantee you that the students of Black history courses at university level are over 50% Black. So if only Black people are learning Black history, which again, I'm still contentious about that, even that term, like, and predominantly, or white people, or even white people and black people learn history. Like we have a real history and we have the black history. It's like it's all part and parcel. And the thing is, the policing of history is what people have to actually look at. Like I'm not against the tearing down of statues. Like people say, oh, we should tear down the statues because this guy was a slave owner. Like that's what they wanted though. Like people wanted slave like traders, and like he was doing it in the name of the crown. He was doing it for this government. That's why he's honored such. But you can still have that statue and say, look, we erected this statue because he went out and he conquered lands for us, or he made the crown X amount of millions, blah 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 blah. But today in 20 whatever, we actually think that, you know, this imperialist model is not good. It's okay to say those two things, but let's not erase it and say like, oh no, like, you know, we didn't really partake in these things, or these people were not considered heroes in the day, you know, because even the thing is, for me, the key to solve racism or to help mitigate it is facts, the truth. The truth will set you free, man. Like if you learn about what really went down, both the good, both and the bad, then you don't hold all these erroneous thoughts in your head. Because like even a lot of black people that have animosity towards white people, when it's like, yeah, the slave trade was ended largely because the British had a moral change of heart. They were actually like, we're not for slaves anymore. And they happened to be having this change when the empire was about. So they basically bullied the rest of the world into not having slaves. But that part of the history is not shown. So a lot of black people are also like, oh man, they were the only people that had slaves. I was like, nah man, the whole world had slaves. Yeah. This was not just a white to black thing. Like white people used to have white slaves. Black people used to have black slaves. Like people don't take the whole history into account.
Yeah, 100%. No, I completely agree, Mash.
No, man, it's a really it's a deep rabbit hole. But I think, you know, a lot of like you said, a lot needs to be done at the school level. Like a lot of these things could just be done and dusted if what we are taught and how the curriculum is molded was just fairer.
You know what, Mash? Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's right for them to say, do you know what, we're going to have a class solely on black history. Yeah. It doesn't need, why do people need to label it as that? Mm-hmm. It's history.
That's it.
It's part, like you say, it's part of the parcel. Mm-hmm. You know, let's learn about everything and encompass how it's like a world evolution. That's what I think we should be learning, how we've came to one point and how we've arrived at this point.
This is it.
And then modern studies and stuff like that can dive a little bit deeper into socio-economic issues, poverty, class divides and systems that have been put in place by certain governments to keep certain individuals regressed or keep them lower down. But again, history is history. And it's unfortunate that a lot of big things that happened in history just don't get spoken about. I mean, we learn the same shit at school. You know, it's always the same stuff. Nazi Germany. Yeah. All the time. I speak to other people, oh, what's your kid doing at school? Nazi Germany. Yeah, it's an important part of history. Don't get me wrong. But that's not all that happened. And I understand they've only got a small, like a semester or a year to go through it. But surely these brains can put something together that encompasses, you know, a wider range of events that took place between, you know, a set date and another date.
It's true. It's true. You know, I totally agree. You know, sort of thing. My guy, I think this is it. You know, I want to thank you for joining us. on this tonight's questions. It's been a roller coaster. It's good to see you. I'm glad to see that you're doing well as well, and hopefully we'll have you on again, not in the not too distant future, because I feel like I've only scratched the surface with some of the stuff you're talking about, man.
No, like it's been a pleasure, Ramesh, and I'm always happy to have a sit down and a little chitty chat about anything and everything with you. I
Awesome.
enjoy it. It's good fun, and it's good seeing you. And now I can actually see you face to face and tell you to release some music, man.
I know. Honestly, I'm recording this weekend, so
Nice,
we shall rectify that for sure.
nice
But
man.
I want to thank you guys, all the listeners, all the people that tuned in, and all the people that will be tuning in when it's like saved for posterity. You can see it on this Instagram. You can see it on the YouTube channel. It's linked in the bio, and it'll be on Spotify and all that sort of stuff. I hope you guys have a lovely evening, and take care, guys.
Take care, guys. Nice one, Ramesh.
Take care.
Take it easy.